Up YouTube, today we're going to be doing the front brake pads and rotors on a Chevy Colorado. Stay tuned. But first, I wanted to announce we've got some Andy's Auto merch now. We got a hat, a shirt, a sticker, a coffee mug, and even a hoodie. You can find these items listed below the video, or you can go to my channel page and you can find them under the store section. If you're interested in supporting the channel while also getting some pretty cool gear for yourself, go ahead and check those out. Now back to the video. Do you need some new headlights for your vehicle? How about some turn signals? Some that are actually very bright. Click the link in the description below and check out Auxito LEDs. And if you use code Andy's Auto, you'll get 15% off your order. Now back to the video. Alright, we got it jacked up. We're going to go ahead and get the wheel off. Alright, so now we're going to use a 13 millimeter on the bottom of the caliper here. And I've got the wheel turned all the way to the left to make it easier to fit my tool in here. Get that out. And we should be able to take a pry bar here and get the caliper out. Just like so. And we can lift it up. And we'll want to push those pistons in. So we're going to use a tool like this. Alright, went ahead and slid the pads out. There they are. And then now we want to slide this out of there as well. So pull it backwards, get the boot off. Then you can pull the whole caliper off. Then we want to get these two 21 millimeter bolts removed so the caliper bracket will come off. Alright, and I also went ahead and removed the 8 millimeter bolt that holds the wheel speed sensor into the knuckle. Gave it a little persuasion with some PB Blaster. And then there's actually a little dip right here that you can fit your screwdriver behind. I don't know if you can tell, but this right side is raised up a little. So there's a little bit of space for you to kind of persuade that sensor to come out. Didn't damage it or anything. So now I'm going to turn the wheel back to the left again, and then we're going to start taking out the bolts that holds the hub assembly and rotor on. Alright, so here's those 4 bolts. There's 2 of them. There's the other 2. I was able to get one of them out with the gun because it fits straight on there. But the rest we'll probably have to use a ratchet for. And then we should be able to tap the rotor and hub assembly out. Alright, now that we got all 4 of those bolts out, we should be able to just kind of beat it off. May take some hits, but this whole assembly should come off at this point. So give me a minute and we'll get this removed. Alright, and then once you're done hitting it off of there, that's what you're left with. Your dust shield will fall off. And then you got this rotor and hub assembly. So now, you need to flip this bad boy over and get all of those bolts out, which I believe are 15 millimeter. Then we can swap this hub over to the new rotor. I was wrong, they're actually 17 millimeters. It's probably a good idea to hold it in place while you do this, but that's the gist of it. Once you got those bolts loose, the rotor will drop, and you can just lift the bearing right out of the rotor. And then it's also a good idea to take a wire brush and clean out that bore, as well as put some anti-seize inside of it and where the hub bolts up, because you don't want that sticking next time. So we're going to do that on both sides. Alright, we got our rotor all cleaned off on both sides, hub assembly reattached. It's a good idea to use a star pattern when you tighten this back on, just like you would your wheel. So now we're going to go ahead and take the dust shield and this assembly and put it back on. Alright, now we've got that assembly reinstalled, all 4 bolts all tightened up, and making sure that our dust shield kind of points away from the rotor. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall that wheel speed sensor and try to make sure that there's not a whole bunch of goop all over it. Alright, and now we got our bracket put back on there with new hardware, and we've got our bottom slide pin greased. You just slide that out of there, put some fresh brake grease on it, and so now we can go ahead and put the pads in place. Alright, and now that's done, I went ahead and put some fresh grease on our top slide pin before I slid the caliper back on. Now we can go ahead and slide this back down, and we can put our lower bolt back on, and then of course you want to make sure that your hose is not twisted. We can tighten this up. Once that's done, you can put your wheel back on and torque it to about 100 foot-pounds. And then of course you'll want to do the exact same procedure again on the other side. Alright, so here's the other side. Got the wheel off already, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And those pistons pushed in. Alright, so we got everything here pretty much taken apart. I'm going to go through this side a bit faster because you've probably already cut off the video by now to get started on your own. However, I do kind of want to throw out there that some people in the comments are probably going to ask why, or say that I didn't need to take this wheel speed sensor out. Well, I took it out for 2 reasons. One, because I don't want it to get damaged while I'm in there beating on it and while I'm putting it back in. But also, it makes it a lot easier to clean this hole out with a wire brush if that sensor is not in the way. Okay, so now we've got the rotor put on, we got the bracket put back on, we got both our slide pins greased, we got the pads put in, we got our pistons compressed, got the wheel speed sensor put back in. So now we can just lower the caliper down, put that last bolt in, and then of course we got to put our wheel back on. Don't forget to pump your brake pedal a few times before you take off until it gets solid again, like this. Otherwise, you might not have any brakes when you first take off. What this does is it pushes the caliper pistons that you pushed back in, back out against the caliper so that there's no free space. Or excuse me, against the pads, not the caliper. That's going to be the end of the video for today, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like below. Also, leave a comment if you're doing this job. If you run into any trouble, I'll be happy to help you out in any way I can. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell. Otherwise, stay tuned for many more awesome videos on the Andy's Auto YouTube channel. This is Andy, signing off.